thousands of fans, one arena, and a tennis tournament that has never seen anything like it. At the Lindner Family Tennis Center in Mason, Ohio, tournament officials at the Cincinnati Open are facing a demand for tickets that they say they have never experienced before. And the reason has a single name: Alex Eala. The hardcourt season was already heating up when the 2026 Cincinnati Open, a WTA 1000 event, got underway this week. But what greeted players, coaches, and organizers was not the usual quiet, reserved tennis crowd. Thousands of Filipino fans flooded the venue. Philippine flags waved throughout the stands. Chants of Alex. Alex echoed across the grounds. Alex Eala had arrived in Cincinnati, and she had brought her army with her. This is not a new phenomenon for Eala. It followed her from Toronto to Cincinnati. At the National Bank Open in Toronto, Filipino fans packed the 12,500-seat arena, bringing what has been described as a typical Filipino barangay basketball league atmosphere to matches that are usually played in hush. Eala herself summed up the scene in a social media post after that tournament, writing, "Saya pala dito sa Barangay Toronto, it's fun here in Barangay Toronto." The same energy, the same sea of Philippine flags, and the same chants have now become a fixture wherever Eala competes. The Filipino community in the United States, one of the largest Filipino communities in the world, has mobilized behind her. This support goes beyond numbers. It is defined by the loyalty of individual fans willing to go to extraordinary lengths just to watch Eala play. One group of friends reportedly built an entire college reunion around a trip to Cincinnati specifically to see her matches. Another supporter followed her to the National Bank Open in Toronto before making an 8-hour drive to Cincinnati for another chance to watch the Filipina star compete. These are not casual spectators. They are devoted supporters following her across cities and across borders. The scale of that devotion becomes even more striking when set against the numbers. Toronto is home to more than 272,000 Filipinos. Cincinnati, by contrast, has a Filipino population of only between 1,100 and 2,000. Yet the state of Ohio as a whole is home to nearly 17,000 Filipino Americans, a population large enough to fill the stands and recreate the same electric atmosphere that defined Toronto, even without a large local Filipino base inside Cincinnati itself. That wave of support has not gone unnoticed by the biggest names in the sport. Coco Gauff, the world no. 4, addressed Eala's growing following directly, saying, "I like that Alex brings a whole new demographic to her." Gauff has also said she uses the crowd noise to her own advantage when playing against Eala, treating the chants as fuel rather than a distraction. Naomi Osaka has also spoken publicly about the passionate Filipino fanbase that now travels with Eala from tournament to tournament. During the Canadian Open in Toronto, Osaka recounted being driven back from her own match past Eala's practice court and finding it completely full, hours before Eala had even stepped onto it. She said she then spotted the Philippine flags in the crowd and understood immediately. Osaka described the fans as kind and grateful-making, adding that Eala is building a new community on tour and that the phenomenon is good for the sport because it fills stadiums. Former World No. 1 doubles player Renee Stubbs, speaking on her own podcast, described the atmosphere surrounding Eala's matches as something most players on tour rarely, if ever, experience, comparing the energy to what Serena Williams once generated in New York. She said players now need to be mentally prepared to deal with that every time they face Eala. Stubbs went further, predicting that Eala is going to bring so many young kids to the sport and help tennis grow. American player Caddy McNally, who played Eala during the hardcourt swing, reportedly turned to her at the net after their match and thanked her for letting me be a part of this. The atmosphere at the Cincinnati Open has been transformed as a result. What is typically a quiet, reserved tennis crowd has become a loud, vocal, and unmistakably proud celebration of Filipino culture. The chants of Alex and Eala carry across the grounds, creating what amounts to a home court advantage that few players on the WTA Tour ever get to experience. Eala herself has embraced the support rather than treated it as pressure. Speaking about the experience, she called it an amazing experience, adding that seeing the Filipino community show up and enjoy tennis could ultimately help the sport grow. She also thanked her supporters directly in a message delivered partly in Tagalog, expressing gratitude to those who had shown up for her from Washington to Toronto. Tournament organizers have had to adapt to the unexpected demand. In Toronto, Eala's matches were moved from the grandstand court to center court after ticket demand exceeded the smaller venue's capacity. And the ticket rush has been described by organizers as unlike anything they have handled before. The Cincinnati Open is now facing the same challenge that hit the Canadian Open weeks earlier: how to accommodate massive demand for tickets driven by a single player. Eala has said the crowd support directly benefits her performance on court. She noted that she has been playing well and feels healthy, something she called herself grateful for, and said she is counting my blessings while carrying the lessons of the past 2 weeks into Cincinnati and New York. On the competitive side, the Cincinnati Open represents the next chapter in what has already been a breakthrough season. Eala entered the tournament as the No. 17 seed, the highest seeding of her career at a WTA 1000 event, and currently sits at No. 20 in the world rankings. That seeding earned her a first-round bye directly into the second round. Her opening opponent is Elena Gabriela Ruse of Romania, world No. 77, who defeated Magda Linette of Poland 6-0, 6-3 in the first round to set up the matchup. Eala does not currently hold a winning head-to-head record against Ruse, having lost to her in 3 sets, 3-6, 6-1, 4-6, at the 2024 U.S. Open qualifiers. Beyond that opening match, Eala's section of the draw is loaded. It includes Zeynep Smez, Daria Kasatkina, and No. 9 seed Amanda Anisimova, along with No. 6 seed Linda Noskov, No. 27 seed Clara Tauson, and wildcard entrant Katie Volinets. A potential quarterfinal matchup would put Eala on course for another meeting with No. 3 seed Jessica Pegula, the very player she defeated in the Washington Open final to claim her maiden WTA title. Beyond that lies a stacked field topped by world No. 1st Aryna Sabalenka, whom every remaining contender in Cincinnati will eventually have to face on the way to the trophy. Eala arrives in Cincinnati coming off a demanding stretch of tennis. She played roughly 8 matches in about 12 days across Washington and Toronto, and admitted to feeling the physical toll after her exit in Toronto, saying, "I am as tired as one can be at this stage." She has since taken time to recover and prepare for the tournament ahead, a decision that reflects both the intensity of her recent schedule and her determination to sustain her form heading into the U.S. Open. Her run in Toronto itself ended in the round of 16 against Belinda Bencic, but not before she reflected on what the tournament had meant to her. She said she knew it was the last time she would play in front of that particular crowd for a while. Calling the feeling inside that stadium, full of supporters, hard to put into words, and said she was simply grateful for the experience. The Eala phenomenon is being read by many inside tennis as a sign of a broader shift in the sport. She is bringing an entirely new audience to WTA events, a passionate and loyal fan base that follows her across countries and continents. Her rise is being cited as proof that tennis talent and tennis fandom can emerge from anywhere in the world. American player Andy Roddick commented on the significance of her drawing power, saying he would cheer for anything that brings hundreds of millions of people to the sport because it is better for tennis. Her popularity speaks to a broader push for diversity within a sport whose top ranks have historically been concentrated in North America and Europe, with few breakthrough stars emerging from Asia. The Philippines had never produced a tennis star of this stature before Eala. She has embraced her heritage publicly, frequently speaking in Tagalog during interviews, and has appeared on the cover of major publications across her home country. The commercial and cultural impact has been significant as well. Tournament director Carl Hale said Eala generated more than 5,000 additional ticket sales at the National Bank Open in Toronto. Her popularity extends well beyond dedicated tennis followers, drawing fans from a wide range of backgrounds who are attracted to her personal story and her rapid rise through the rankings. Jessica Pegula, who lost to Eala in the final of the Washington Open, addressed the crowd afterward, telling them, "This is the best Monday final crowd I've seen." She went on to thank the Filipino fans directly for their role in growing the sport internationally. That growing fan base has developed its own culture around Eala as well. Supporters have coined nicknames for aspects of her game, including terms describing her unconventional service motion, and Eala has been open about embracing the humor rather than resisting it. It reflects a connection between player and fan base that goes beyond simple spectatorship. Her supporters increasingly describe themselves not merely as an audience, but as a community built around her success. That devotion has produced comparisons rarely applied to a tennis player in the Philippines. Eala's sudden rise has reportedly drawn comparisons in her home country to Manny Pacquiao, the boxer widely regarded as the most recognizable Filipino athlete in history, and an 8-division world champion with a professional record of 62 wins from 73 fights. Eala has spoken of Pacquiao as an inspiration, describing him as a legend of the sport. While she is not yet on the level of national icon that Pacquiao reached over a 2-decade career, the comparison itself reflects how far her profile has traveled in a single breakout season. The scale of that support has occasionally sparked its own debate. Some observers have criticized the noise level and etiquette of newer tennis fans still learning the sport's traditions of quiet during play, with match commentators noting that portions of the crowd are so new to tennis that they sometimes cheer in the middle of live points. Others, including several of Eala's fellow professionals, have pushed back, framing packed loud stadiums as a welcome change for a sport looking to expand its global reach rather than a problem to be managed. Stubbs herself said she is all for the excitement, arguing there is nothing more thrilling in tennis right now than the atmosphere Eala creates every time she walks onto a court. Stepping back, the scenes now unfolding in Cincinnati are the latest chapter in a rapid rise that has reshaped how the tennis world views the Philippines as a tennis nation. Eala first picked up a racket at the age of 4. In 2022, she became the first Filipino player to win a junior Grand Slam title. In March 2025, she made a run to the semifinals of the Miami Open, defeating 3 Grand Slam champions along the way, including Iga Swiatek. In 2026, she became the first Filipina to win a Grand Slam singles main draw match at the US Open. The current season alone has been a breakthrough in its own right. Eala has won 2 titles in 2026, at the Birmingham Grass Court event and at the Washington Open, and reached the 4th round of Wimbledon for the first time in her career after defeating defending champion Iga Swiatek. She also produced an upset over world No. 8 Jasmine Paolini of Italy, 6-1-7-6, during the Dubai Tennis Championships. Across the season, she has compiled a 37-19 match record, and by her own account, she has now played more matches on the WTA Tour in 2026 than any other player. That breakthrough season reached a new peak when she won her first WTA Tour singles title at the Washington Open, defeating 3 top-seeded players en route to the title, including world No. 3 Jessica Pegula, in the final, making her the first Filipina to win a WTA Tour-level singles title. The Cincinnati Open is the next stage of that story. Eala has already secured a career-high seeding of No. 17 at a WTA 1000 event, and her matches have sparked a ticket rush that has stunned tournament organizers for a second consecutive tournament. Her rise has drawn praise and attention from established figures across tennis, including comments from players and commentators who have followed her season closely. She has said she feels healthy heading into Cincinnati and is focused on applying the lessons learned during her recent stretch through Washington and Toronto as she looks ahead not only to this tournament, but to the US Open, which begins on August 30 in New York. Alex Eala is a player whose rise has been matched, and in some ways amplified, by the scale of the movement now following her from city to city. What began as a modest wave of local support has, in the span of a single season, turned into a coast-to-coast phenomenon capable of moving a tournament's ticketing operation overnight. The Filipino fans flooding Cincinnati this week are not simply supporting a rising athlete. They are part of a broader story about a country experiencing its first true tennis star and a fan base determined to be there, in person, for every step of the journey.